Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ron Otto. I'm the senior minister here at the church, and just glad to have you with us. If you see some people around you in Harley wear and motorcycle gear and stuff, it's because today at noon we ride down for a blessing of the bikes down in Decatur, and so several of the riders came in all decked up with their Harley stuff. There's a couple Honda riders in here, but they're not wearing it, all right, just so you know. They don't want to brag about that. And then I got if you went past my truck, I did not ride my bike in this morning. I trailered it in, and because I came in at 4 o'clock this morning, and everyone's mocking me like it was too cold, and I am not that much of a wimp. It wasn't because it was too cold, it's because the wind messes up my hair for church, and I didn't want that. But anyway, if you got a bike, and stuff, you're welcome to come back at noon. We're riding at noon. If you don't have one, you got time to steal one. All right, here we go. We're beginning a new series today talking about powering down. Now, it's just 2-week series, just this today and next Sunday. Then we got a 14-day challenge. Going to challenge you to find some time in your schedule to unplug. One of the blessings of going to the high country out in Colorado, every year when I take a group out there backpacking, they have their phones with them, but I tell them, you're not going to get a chance to use that. Soon as we get into the high country, soon as we get way back in, there are no bars. You got 3 to 4 days where you have no reception at all. And that can make some people nervous a little bit. It can freak some people out to be disconnected like that. And I'm going to tell you, it takes a couple days in that atmosphere before your spirit finally starts to settle down a little bit, and you realize, you know what? If they had to find me, they'll find me. We leave emergency numbers with the ranger station and stuff, but if they had to find us, they'd come find us. Otherwise, we are just unplugged right now. We are unplugged and recharging, and the guys all come out after the trip. They say that was one of the highlights of the trip. It wasn't just the spiritual aspect of being in the mountains. It was that moment of just rest from all that technology. Technology is amazing, but it can be exhausting to be in it constantly. We've done cruise vacations. We love cruise vacations. I mean, my goodness, there's lots of fun activities. You get to travel and see new places. My wife and I get to dance with my wife every night. There's unending food. What's not to like? All right, it's awesome, cruise vacation. But when we first started cruising, they used to do a printed itinerary. There was no Wi-Fi on the ships. And so once you got on the ship, once you left port, that was it. You were disconnected for 7-10 days from your family. And again, in an emergency, if you're that important, they will find you. But we just unplugged. And it used to be one of the blessings of cruising. Now they've changed all that. Now every cruise line, they have Wi-Fi. They don't give you a printed itinerary anymore. They want you on an app and getting all your activities from that. And for me, cruising has lost a little bit of its charm. So started thinking about, after Easter, what would be really good for us to talk about. And the Spirit laid on me this gift of rest that we get from God. Rest is a gift that's given to us from God. It has a purpose. I'm going to show you this in a moment. And then rest is a gift you give to the loved ones around you. Oh my goodness, some of you are so active. Your tanks are dangerously low. You know that. Your physical tank, your emotional tank, your spiritual tank, because you're not putting anything in, and it's just drain, 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 take. Some of you come home and your kids have you moving in 100 different directions. Some of you, your workplaces have you constantly underappreciated and undersupported. And then there's the home and the family needs and not a moment of peace. And some of you are under the stress of aging parents. Some of you are under the stress of blended families. Some of you are under the stress of single parenthood. And then add all of that, when you come home, there's a list of chores that have to be accomplished there. And it's just a constant drain on your well-being. And God created a rhythm, and He gave it to us, and we work really well when we're in that rhythm. When we get out of rhythm, it doesn't work so well for us. In our household, my wife has a full-time job. It's an absolute blessing to us, but long hours, she puts in long hours. And then when she's home, she is an amazing active grandmother, showing up at all the activities and cheering from the sidelines constantly, and just an incredible. And then add to that, she has this high-maintenance husband that requires a lot. And amen, thank you. You don't even know. And just, there's a lot going on. And then add to all that, while I'm watching TV, there's cooking that has to be done and laundry. Years ago, I'm going to tell you this story. Years ago, when we had younger children, my wife was washing a load of whites. She went down, washing a load of whites, dumped it in, started the machine. She was unaware that one of our teenage daughters took her brand new red sweatshirt and just threw it in the washing machine, didn't say anything to anyone. And so when she opened that washing machine, I heard this cry from the basement, and she was so frustrated. I went downstairs, and when I saw her at first, she was a little welled up a little bit, emotional about it. And I'm like, what's going on? And she pulls out, and everything is pink. Everything was pink. And I said, it's okay. It's all right. Don't. It's not a big deal. I said, I can wear pink T-shirts for a while. It's not a big deal. And she's like, that's not it. That's not it. And I'm like, well, then what is it? She goes, I just know you're going to use this as a sermon illustration. No, I'd never do that. Our tanks, our cups have become dangerously low. We live in a world of just relentless activity. And what's needed so bad today is for you to rediscover God's gift of rest. Jesus had lines of people waiting to get to him. He had crowds of people who were waiting for his healing. And often Jesus would look at his disciples and say, let's get away and rest. Let's come away with me and rest, he would say. Wait a minute, Jesus, there was still so much ministry to do. Jesus had only 3 years to change the entire world, and yet Jesus still had time to go for a boat ride. He still had time to go fishing with his disciples. He still had time to go to the mountains occasionally, and he had only 3 years. And if Jesus, knowing that he and his disciples needed moments of rest, you also need moments of rest. This is God's design, by the way. So let me show you how this works. Genesis chapter 2. The heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array in 6 days. So on the seventh day, God rested from all his work. God rested. You know, we talk about the 7 days of creation, but when you look at that, it was really just 6 days of creation, and then the seventh day, it doesn't look like much is going on, does it? But that'd be a mistake. Even on the seventh day, God is still creating. Do you see it? What God created on the seventh day was the value of rest in our life. Did God need rest? Of course not. Was God tired from all that he had? No. What God is doing on that seventh day, he rested, is he's modeling it for you and I. He's that loving parent who has a toddler that will not lay down and rest. And so the parent models it for him. Oh, look at your mommy, look at your daddy. You know, they're going to lay down. Come on, do what your mommy's doing, do what your dad's doing. I do that as a grandparent sometimes, but I'll go to sleep and not know what happens to the kid. But anyway, trying to model it. God was that loving parent for us, modeling the importance of rest to us. He didn't need it, but he did it. Then God turns around, and in the law, Exodus 34, 6 days you shall labor, but on the seventh day you shall rest. Even during plowing season and harvest, you must rest. This is the rhythm that God created for us. God's rhythm is all around us. The tides come in, the tides go out. The cycles of the moon climb to full moon and then climb back down. There's this rhythm in all of it. There's the rhythm of the seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall, then winter, spring, summer, fall. In the rhythm of our lives, he said 6 days you can work. But 1 week, one day a week, I want you to rest. And part of that sabbatical rest for them was that they would do what you just did this morning, that you would come in and you'd enter into a time of worshiping of God. You'd take an hour out of your whole week and say, no, this is my time to praise God, to worship Him for a little bit. And in this moment, there's even rest in this room. By the way, this will be the first thing that God will make holy, will be this day. The benefits of a day of rest are everywhere. Rest helps our bodies recover. Rest helps our relationships recover. Rest helps our spirits recover. Rest helps us see God's wonders, and then rest helps us realign our priorities. When you walked in here today, if you looked up in the atrium, if you saw the banners, there's our priorities: God, family, others. God, family, others. That you approach God through the name of Jesus, that you are blessing to your family around you, and that you minister to others. Those are our priorities. And every Sunday you walk in here, you get that realignment of priorities. And then in Genesis chapter 2, verse 3, then God blessed the seventh day, and He made it holy. That seventh day of rest is the first thing God made holy, by the way, in the Bible. First thing. Rest is not only a gift to us, but it's a gift then that we give to others around us. When I'm resting and spending time with my family, I'm actually giving that gift to them. It's beautiful. Chick-fil-A did that, by the way. Chick-fil-A decided that they were going to take a sabbatical day of rest. And on Sundays, Chick-fil-A is closed. You need to know there are some politicians out there who have set their sight on criticizing Chick-fil-A for that. In fact, there are some politicians in some community that said if they're not going to be open on Sunday, we're going to drive them out of business. Can you imagine that? In our community, Guest House decided we're not going to be open on Sunday. We love our customers. We appreciate all that you do for us. You've helped to make our business successful, but they're not only accepting the gift of God's rest in their life, they're giving it to their employees. And last time I talked to Ethan, he said, you know what? He said, our business really didn't come down. He said, our income actually went up through that. The community says, we love your coffee. We'd love to have it on Sunday morning, but we totally applaud what you're trying to do. This is the way God made us and created us. He put us together this way. One of your favorite Psalms, Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. He makes me lie down and rest. So here's our challenge for a couple weeks. It's all going to start today. It's going to go for 2 weeks long, and I'm challenging you to find a way to take a technology fast. That's what I'm asking for. Not for all day, but that sometime in your day you would shut down, that you would power down all these devices, that you would walk away from it for a period. I don't care if it's an hour, 2 hours, that during that time maybe you would have a meal with someone face to face, no TV on. And by the way, you'll see more of this next week. I'll show you it, but that you don't even bring this to the table. Don't even carry this to the table. Because believe it or not, even when you're trying to talk to someone and you got this in your hand, do you know what message you're sending at that time? That if anything comes in, I'll conclude that that's more important than this conversation with you. And even some of your parents, just when you bring it to the table, even if you put it face down like you're not paying attention to it, you're still sending a message to your kids. They're not the first priority at that moment. That if anything comes in more important, you'll take it. And maybe it'd be best to turn these off and leave them far away from the table and come to the table and be unplugged from the world, accept some delayed information in your life. You know, my parents didn't feel they had to be connected to me 24 hours a day. They didn't know half the time where I was, and they didn't demand immediate information from me. And I turned out amazing, so thank you. My grandparents also They accepted delayed information. Well, what if there's an emergency? How did they get through this world without having immediate information? How did they do it? At some point, at some time, this technology is becoming exhausting to us, and then it's not even healthy for us. Science is now showing that we got all kinds of neck issues, we got all kinds of upper back issues now, because from a very young age, we are walking through this life like this constantly. And the further your head is tipped over, the more weight and strain you are putting on your body. I'm not saying this is evil, I'm just saying it needs to be monitored and put aside occasionally so that you lift that head, so you lift those eyes and you're looking into people's eyes and faces that you love. So I'm asking you for just 2 weeks. Find some time in your schedule. Work with your families if you have to. When is some time that we can just unplug for a couple hours? Just unplug. I wish I was a great example of this, but I'm not. I'm a poor example of this. If I'm not sitting at the kitchen counter on my computer, if I'm not on my cell phone, then I'm sitting in front of that television. And let me tell you something. Even last night, Bonnie and I went for a walk. And we were barely out of the driveway when that cell phone intruded on our time together. We need to learn to rest again. We need to put that stuff away. Even here at church, somebody will find a way to intrude on your time here. What do I mean by that? Every so often, a cell phone goes off during the sermon. You're all panicking now. Lord, please don't let that happen to me. You know, listen, I don't want to judge. I'm not judging. Well, I am for a moment, okay? How is it that that person don't call them right now, they're definitely in church, huh? How do they, just a thought, I'm not judging. Something will always intrude, something will always interrupt. Seldom is it an absolute emergency. So how about for the next 2 weeks, you get together with your family and say, how do we do this? If it's an extra challenge for you, then you know right then, wow, this has become just too much of our life. Jesus said these words. Jesus in Matthew 11, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, I will give you rest. All who are weary, all who are carrying heavy burdens, come to me, he says. That probably describes many of us in this room. So during your time of rest, I'm going to challenge you with one more thing. Would you just pray a little bit? Talk to God? You're so busy trying to cowboy up in this world and be tough. And cowboy up is a good thing to teach young boys, but you also have to show young boys a bended knee and someone who's looking up. You know, cowboy up, be strong, but also let me show you someone who bends a knee and looks up. And so maybe during your time of rest, you'd give him a little time and a little bit of conversation. And allow God to start filling that tank again. Rest isn't my idea. Rest was his idea.